In this video, we're going to take a look at a couple of different things you need to know about scaling objects. Basically, a few of the ins and outs of getting things in your scene larger or smaller. The file I'm working with is called Scaling Objects and can be found in the Working Files folder. Scaling in Max can be done not just three-dimensionally, but you can also change the size of an object in either two directions at a time or simply just in one. Now, like with both moving and rotating, the direction or directions that you can scale in all boils down to how you grab the gizmo. To show you how that works, let's go ahead and select the green torus in our scene, then we'll activate the Scale command. The interface icon for Scale can be found on the toolbar directly to the right of Rotate. You could also simply choose to use the keyboard shortcut, which is the letter R. In the perspective view, take note of the markings on the gizmo. You have your three sticks, red, green, and blue. You've got a gold triangle that fills the middle of the gizmo. Then you have empty diagonal brackets on each side of that gold triangle. The directions you can work in are determined by what's highlighted in yellow as you begin scaling. Let's take our perspective view full screen. If we grab the individual sticks one at a time, watch the way things scale. If we instead filled the gold triangle, well, that scales differently. To cancel out of the command each time, I'm holding down the left mouse and simply right-clicking. Let's return to the Select command by typing Q. Now, as far as scaling two-dimensionally, that might be a little easier to understand if we, at least for the first time around, have all four of our windows up as we work. Let's go ahead and hit Alt-W to make that happen. This time, to activate the Scale command, we'll right-click to open the menu. Then, down on the lower right, you'll find Scale. Okay, to show you how this thing works two-dimensionally, let's activate our top view. You can scale two ways at a time by filling in the gold diagonal bracket. Put your cursor in the correct position, then begin to pull back with your mouse. Now, as you scale in only two directions, notice how the way that looks in the other viewports. So in essence, by scaling in the top and filling up the gold bracket, we're now scaling in both the Y and the X directions. Let's move over to the top view and perform a 2D scale. We'll again fill in the bracket, then pull back with our mouse. This again has a scaling only in two dimensions. Notice that in the top view, the torus is not scaling going up and down. Let's also try that in the left-hand view. We'll fill in the bracket, then begin to scale. Again, looking in the top, you'll notice the torus this time around is not scaling left to right. To offer a little more precision when scaling, you have a snapping option. The Snap Scale command can be found in the middle of your toolbar. It's specifically called %snap toggle. To activate, you can either click on the icon or simply use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Shift-P. Scaling three-dimensionally, watch now how things work. As you pull back and forth with your mouse, check out the X, Y, and Z values as they display below the timeline. You'll notice the torus snapping in 10% increments. You can change those incremental values by right-clicking on the Snap % icon on the toolbar. In the dialog, in the General category, you'd want to change the %. Let's take that from the default value of 10 up to 33%. Closing the dialog and scaling again, you can see the difference. Let's take our perspective view full screen. You can also type in your scale values. Up on the Scale command on the toolbar, right-click. Using the X, Y, and Z values on the left will allow you to scale one direction at a time. When wanting to perform a 3D scale, move to the right-hand side under Offset World and change the value there. Again, I'll right-click before letting go of my left mouse. You know, it's not at all unusual for new animators to be a little confused on just exactly when to scale in either one or two directions as opposed to all three. Let's see if we can't make a little more sense out of that. With the torus selected, hit the Delete key. Then, with your mouse in the viewport, right-click, choosing Unhide All from the upper right-hand square. Now, select the yellow bowl. You'll notice that even though we're working on a completely new object, the Scale command is still active. Now, to convert the bowl to, let's say, a different shaped object, we'll first want to turn off the snap up on the toolbar. Let's grab the Z or blue stick and scale down. With a one-directional scale, we can now convert that bowl into a plate. Grabbing the gold bracket that connects the red and green sticks will give us yet another shape. This time around, now we have a large platter for maybe a party. There's your two-directional scale. And finally, scaling in 3 directions, we can take our cereal bowl down to, let's say, the size of an ashtray. So does that make a little more sense now when making the decision on just how to scale and with just how many directions you ought to be going in? Think it through, read and grab the gizmo accordingly, and you'll be on your way.